All right, everybody. Continuation of the Carson Wentz every interception covered series that we started, guys. This is part two, week two against the Los Angeles Rams. I want to tell you guys now this is going to be a defensive heavy topic because I think that you got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to this Los Angeles Rams defense and just the job that a Nick Fangio like disciple here is doing out there. And that's their defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, who's doing a fantastic job with their defense, and he got to Wentz and Doug Pederson in this game. Just no doubt about it. All right, y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to cover two passes here, two interceptions, and break down a whole lot about defense here. All right, y'all, let's get it. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching this. Once again, guys, my name is Steven Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. All right, y'all, today's topic, like I warned you guys, this will be an odd one because I'm going to be really defensive heavy. It's because I just want to give credit where credit is due when it comes to the Rams, because I think they're doing a great job out there in LA this year with their defense. With that said, I think the overwhelming theme of today's video that you're going to pick up from a quarterback perspective. You guys know me as kind of the quarterback guy and the wide receiver guy. What you're going to see is this is going to be a lesson on why you shouldn't overstride, okay? The big thing you're going to see here from a lack of fundamentals, and like something I can point out to you guys, especially if you're younger quarterbacks, is don't exacerbate a bad situation by having bad fundamentals on top of it. If you overstride, you're going to have issues, man, because your weight balance is going to be off and your ball placement is likely going to suffer. Your velocity on the ball could suffer. Like, you're going to have issues if you do that. In this particular instance, I'm not too sure I would argue that the ball placement was off as much as probably the velocity was lost a little bit here. And it missed time to throw. It took a second too long, not even a second, like a tenth of a second too long to get this delivery out there because of the length of the stride, okay? So without further ado, we're going to run the film, and we're going to talk a little defense mixed in with some quarterback fundamentals here. All right, y'all. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gents, we are at the 8:39 mark of the third quarter. The ball's on the Los Angeles Rams 21-yard line. It is a 1st and 10, and the Philadelphia Eagles are down at this point in the game 21-16. This is clearly an opportunity to score and take the lead, or at very minimal, at least settle for a field goal and put this game into a one-possession football game. It's already technically one possession, but you get my point, right? We're technically even a field goal, if you can keep it to the score, could win it. All right, so looking at the Philadelphia Eagles, what happens here? They come out in 12-man personnel. That's not a huge surprise, guys. You don't need me to tell you guys we play a lot of 12-man. We went away from it for a little bit, but now we're getting tight ends back. We're back to it. All right, so if we start from the field side, what you're going to see here is that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is the flanker. He's playing the Z role, the Z receiver role. All right, moving down, you'll see that Zach Ertz is in a Y tight end kind of slot positioning. Even though on Madden, guys, the Y button is your slot, technically the Y tight end is your Y, but that's just confusing. We don't need to get into all that. Goddard is in line as an inline tight end, also on that field side, so off to the right tackle side, okay? Now let's flip it over and let's go to the boundary side of the field, and you can see that Rager is there as your X wide receiver. Let me get into a little bit of the routes that are being drawn up here that are being run, okay? To begin with, you have two kind of like drag routes that are built at various depths for the tight ends, okay? So you got Goddard running more of a shallow drag, okay? Coming off the inline. You got Ertz from the slot running more of that deeper drag route kind of thing. We have one comeback route that's being run on the boundary side here, so that's being run by Rager. And then you have the featured, essentially, route here, which is the post route being run by J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, out there as your flanker receiver. I really like this play call from Doug. I know I've beaten Doug up a little bit this year about play calling, but on this particular play, if I'm being fair, This was a really good play. I love the way he built this entire thing. I thought this was schemed great. Because what you have here is everything is being built off of a play action to the field side. Basically the offensive right. Okay? And then you roll on top of that play action. You're going to then roll. You're rolling out Wentz to the left. So you got the drag routes coming to your left. Okay? You got that comeback to the left. And you got that deep post that's going to be in the middle of the field. It's just like I like this. Okay? I mean, this makes a lot of sense. If I had to make some adjustments or alterations to this, just to be, the critiquing of me, I would probably love to see this done where you got Carson Wentz under center and you got some kind of motion. So, move in, Zach Ertz originally from the boundary side over to the field side, testing, or one of your receivers, if you're an 11-man, testing the eye movement of that defensive line and those guys, making sure they keep containment. I would say linebackers, but they run a very unique defense here in Los Angeles, so let's just keep that in mind. Talking about defense, let me talk a little bit about the Rams defense here and how they are lined up for this, guys. They run a staple defensive front, the Los Angeles Rams do. It's called the Eagle front. Here's what you need to know about their Eagle front. Just follow along with me for a second, guys. In the Eagle front, basically what you're going to do is you're going to run what's called a zero technique, right? So just over the center, you have a zero technique. And then you have 2 4 eyes, which just means the inside shoulder of the offensive tackle. So you have 2 defensive tackles placed inside, or you can even be ends, inside on that inside shoulder of the offensive tackle, okay? And then you have 2 more defenders that are lined up in a wide 9. This is very similar to the way the Eagles, at least last year, I haven't watched enough film of this year to say that I see it that often, but the Eagles like to do this with a diamond front, which is similar because then you have a 0 shade, then you got a guy running a 3 technique, you got a guy running a 4 technique or a 5 technique, then you got a 7 technique, and you got a wide 9. Then you bring up another guy like a linebacker to play the 3 on the opposite side, so then you're forcing the offensive line to individual blocks. You want individual blocks, man assignments here, okay? You're forcing one-on-ones. That's the whole goal of this. I love the overall system here. I got to give credit to them because it's a unique system, guys, if I'm going to be completely honest. All right. The coverage scheme, is predicated on Jalen Ramsey, guys. He's playing something that's called a lock corner roll down there, meaning everything is based upon Jalen Ramsey doing his job. He's got to be one-on-one, and he's got to do his job. He's always going to be in a man situation, basically, for the majority of it. You'll see some when they drop out of this type of coverage where they do maybe a quarters or something. He's not man, but in this base kind of thing they do, he's man. So, he's in the lock corner rolls, and man, there is no safety help for Jalen Ramsey. This is why everything is predicated upon him. Okay? So what you get here is a weird kind of inverted 2-deep safety look. I would call this more of a cover 2 with a mixed, corner responsibility here. But it also has some similarities to the cover 6. It's not cover 6. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to explain what's going on in the secondary. So to begin with, the 2 high safeties. One safety will, generally speaking, have a deep responsibility. The other safety will basically cover any crossing routes coming across on the underneath, okay? That's why I say, in a way, it's similar to a cover 6 because it's almost like you're playing a quarter, half, but instead of that corner on the other side having a sky responsibility, so the back area, and then your safety coming down to cover what's called the cloud, or the flats, basically. He's not necessarily covering the a cloud. He's not really doing the flats, per se. He's covering the middle of the field, so it's not quite cover 6, but there's some similarities there, guys. There's no doubt about it. All right, this is a really tough coverage to beat, guys. I'm not going to lie. It's very difficult to get it, but I thought Doug really schemed this one to make a lot of sense here, guys. Now let's go to the hike. All right, if you look at Carson and you see what's going on here, right? So they do the play action. You can see everyone kind of moving out here on the play action, right? So I love the way the routes are developing. You can see exactly how the Rams cover this, right? You see how that one safety comes in and starts covering that middle crosser. They got one of the linebackers falling back and covering him as well. That might even be, another corner that could be their nickel. But you can see how everything is. You got Ramsey locking down there on Jalen Reagor one-on-one. And then you got that other corner's playing more of a sky technique, right? He's covering the back half there. He's falling back in that coverage. He actually gets the interception. Here's what I will say as we keep rolling this play out. So we roll it out to the left, and I think Wentz is doing a good job of holding the safety, the deep safety, right? You can see to me, it looks like he's looking at the Ertz route. He could be giving looks to Rager as well, but to me, that looks like he's trying to manipulate that safety into staying on the Ertz route where you got 3 guys covering that route. And then at the last possible minute, he's going to look towards, essentially, he's going to go ahead and he's going to turn around and look towards J.J. Arcega-Whiteside because there should be an opening on that post route. So what happens? 2 things happen. Number 1 is J.J. runs a bad route. J.J. kind of tails away instead of making a sharp, hard angle. I think J.J.'s doing this on purpose because I think he's trying to create artificial space between himself and that safety. But the problem is when you tail away, that gives the corner the angle that he's going to have to get in there and jump the route and take the ball. The second thing that's going to happen as this rolls out, and you will see Wentz's footwork here, he overstrides, guys. I know it's hard to see from this angle, but if you pause it and you just look at his stance, I mean, come on, guys, that's overstriding. It's a long stance. He's overstriding here. That's an overstride. It's going to take, a split second off the ball, and it's going to give the defense enough time to get over and make the adjustments on what was a pretty well-schemed play. So, to me, this is what's going on here. I don't think you need any more angles to see this, but I'll give you one more. I'll give you the game angle to give you a chance to flip angles here for 1 second. Watch this play kind of roll out here, and then see where Wentz's footwork is so it's a little more clear on that overstride that he's overstriding there. But you can see there, it's clearly an overstride, guys. All right, ladies and gents, the next play I want to show you, this to me has more to do with how Carson reacts in a pressure moment. So let me just take you into where we are in the game. We're at the 3:22 mark of the fourth quarter. The ball's on our own 36. It's 1st and 10, and we're now trailing in this game 37-19. Okay. So, I mean, weigh that out, guys. I mean, you're talking about a 2-score, 3-score deficit we got to overcome. So, don't get me wrong. This was already going to take a miracle to get back in, but you just want to see how does he respond to this. So, let's take a look at what we're trying to do. What is the drawn-up play scheme? And to me, this almost looks like a really standard flat 7 route combo. So, when you run a flat 7, basically what you got here is you got 2 corner routes. So, your outside receivers are running corner routes. And then your guys that are in the slot, those guys are basically running flat routes, okay? And then you have kind of a designed-in, kind of built-in check down to the running back, okay? Why do you do this? This, to me, is just a really simple way of giving Wentz a way to survey the defense and then pick which side he wants to operate from, right? So you're going into, kind of a half-field read, but you're giving Wentz the whole field to look through. Then you pick, because the routes are the same on each side, you're picking which side you want to try to operate on, right? Which side of the defense do you see pre-snap that you want to then go in and try to take advantage of, guys? That's the word I'm trying to get to here. All right? So, I don't know how to say this, but if you look at from the hike what's going on here, right? You can see the routes kind of develop. All right. Pressure is an issue here. There's no doubt. I'm not going to deny that. Pressure gets to Wentz. It flushes him off the spot. But this is the first play I've showed you so far where I kind of look at the pressure, and it does make me pause for a second. It makes me wonder, how well is Carson feeling pressure right now? How well is he getting the feel for where the pressure is coming from and what he should do in relation to the pressure? Because I felt like he moves up and goes left, picking the left side of the field, but it's not open there, right? Had he felt the pressure better, stepped up and then worked his way back to the right side of the field, I feel like you can clearly see that you got the one corner route comes wide open there. If you can fit that between the safety and between Jalen Ramsey, it's a huge gainer, right? At the very minimum, then you're in a better position to hit Miles Sanders on that route that's underneath, right? The check down. Here's what I will say about the check down route and what happened with Wentz. It's open, and I can see that he sees a lot of green in front of him. But at the same time, man, all the green that's in front of you to run, dude, next time, just run the football for the love of God. My concluding thoughts here, guys. what can you really say to an extent? But this is a really good example of how one impactful player can completely transition and transform your scheme, uh, just the way that you operate and do things in general. Because you can see the impact that Jalen Ramsey is having on that, Los Angeles Rams defense. From the young quarterback perspective of what I saw from Wentz, guys, I mean, this just highlights why pocket mechanics are so important for a quarterback. Like, you cannot overstride, especially at the NFL level, to where every corner, it doesn't matter how bad a person thinks a corner is, they're tremendous. These guys are really good. Even the guys that are like undrafted rookie free agents fighting to even have their names mentioned in a preseason game, those guys are really talented. Like, the windows they're going to give you to throw into it's going to be determined by how good of a route runner your receiver is. So, I mean, this is a tough one, man, but this game in particular, I can't say it was all Carson, but Carson had an opportunity at one point clearly in this game to have seized momentum. And he made a really bad judgment call there. I mean, I'm not going to say that he didn't make the right read. It's just that his pocket mechanics got him in trouble there and caused that just split this, reaction there that gave the defender time to get over. And of course, the receiver is guilty in this. The receiver did not run a great route. He didn't do enough to gain the separation. He tried to create, it looks like to me he's trying to create that separation artificially, and that was a mistake in itself. But Wentz is still, he's got a whole blame here because he did overstride. I mean, you can't deny it. I mean, it's so obvious when you see it on the film. All right, y'all. That's what I got for y'all today. If you want to support the channel, don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, it helps tremendously. All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out of here.